The Doom Raiders are some of the most beloved villains from any Skylanders game for sure, and for me personally, they're some of the most beloved villains from any video game, period. When I think of villains from my childhood, I immediately think of the Doom Raiders. I absolutely love them, and they are super recognizable in the Skylanders community because they are in Trap Team, which is probably the fan favorite game, and they offer so much variety as far as what we can get out of them. I absolutely love these villains, and in this video, we are going to be ranking all of the Doom Raiders from Skylanders Trap Team from my least favorite to my favorite, and this is going to be based off of their personality, characteristics, and design, and how they interact with the other Doom Raiders for the most part. We're not going to be going much off of their boss battle or their moveset at all, whether it's in Trap Team or Imaginators. It's not going to be based on that. It's going to be based on their interactions with other Doom Raiders, what we see in the cutscenes, their design, and just how cool they are overall as villains. So without further ado, let's get right into it. But first off, I want to cover some rules and qualifications for this video. So there are some people who like to debate what characters actually count as Doom Raiders, but there are a few certain things that I think make it very clear which are the actual Doom Raiders that will count and which ones are not going to be counted for this video. Now, I'm just going to be talking about a couple that are not going to be counting. Now, first off, Chaos, he's just so different. He doesn't really have his own element, and he's, for the most part, clashing with the Doom Raiders, and he's very much his own character who does his own thing, and he's not even on their side for the majority of the game, so he's not going to be counted as a Doom Raider, especially since, I mean, I feel like he's a pretty obvious #1 pick if you're counting Chaos with how classic he is. Next one that isn't going to count is going to be Pinata. A lot of people make an argument for this guy just because Magic doesn't technically have a Doom Raider, and Pinata is the closest we get, but he's not in any of the featured cutscenes with the Doom Raiders, nor is he in the beginning of the game, so I don't really think that Pinata is going to fit in as a Doom Raider. And the clear giveaway is his moveset. He only has 2 moves in Trap Team, which all the Doom Raiders have a full moveset with 3 different attacks, so Pinata is not going to actually fit into that. And then the other 2 that aren't going to count are Luminous and Nightshade. I feel like they are technically maybe the Doom Raiders for the light and dark elements, but they're just so different and they're doing their own thing, and they weren't featured in any of the cutscenes. It's really hard to really get a glimpse of their personalities, especially with Luminous, because he was kind of hidden the entire level. And Nightshade, you get a little bit more of his personality, but he just doesn't fit. He's too different. Both of these guys are just too different and too based on the new elements and not really based on the rest of the story, so they're not going to be counted. So the ones that are going to be counted are going to be Dreamcatcher, Gulper, Chompy Mage, Dr. Crankcase, Wolfgang, Chef Pepperjack, and Golden Queen. Those are the 7 that I'm going to be ranking. I think these are the most classic, and these are pretty much, like, it's not really a big debate. These are all definitely Doom Raiders, so without further ado, let's get right into the ranking. Now, in 7th place, I am going to unfortunately have to give it to Gulper. He doesn't do anything specifically wrong, there just isn't enough of him. As a villain that we capture and defeat in the first level, we just don't get a good glimpse of how he actually interacts with the other Doom Raiders, and considering he was only in pretty much the intro cutscene to the entire game, which of course had all the other Doom Raiders too, we don't really get to see much of him, and that cutscene doesn't really show off their personalities. All we really know about him is that if he drinks a bunch of soda, he turns gigantic, and that's pretty much all he cares about. He doesn't really have any sort of story or character arc. He doesn't really do anything cool that makes him stand out. His design isn't the best. He's kind of like this big slug that just is doing his own thing. He doesn't really fit with the rest of the Doom Raiders, at least if you ask me. So really, he's going to have to be 7th place. Now, in 6th place is definitely going to be what's probably the least favorite for most people, and this is going to be Dreamcatcher. She is just pretty much hated by the entire community, and I can sort of understand why. I mean, she really has a design that just wasn't working. She's supposed to be on the supervillain team, but her whole idea is just being a cringy teenage girl from the mid-2010s, which doesn't really work. She's constantly using these weird abbreviations, like she'll spell out OMG and stuff. It's just weird. It doesn't really fit well. She's not that intimidating, and I'm not even going to talk about how bad her boss fight is, because technically that doesn't really factor into any of this, but that's really atrocious. Her personality isn't actually that bad when in the cutscenes. Like, she kind of just is kind of like all the other Doom Raiders, just hating on Chaos, doing her own thing, but then eventually it gets annoying just hearing her voice is really not that nice, not that pleasant to listen to, and watching her in the cutscenes is kind of goofy because she's just kind of floating around. So honestly, I really don't think anyone likes Dreamcatcher that much, and that's why she's gonna have to get 6th place on the list. Now, in 5th place is gonna be Golden Queen. This is because as the supervillain leader of the team, she doesn't really do that much. She kind of just commands them around like her minions, which obviously they are, but it means that we don't get to see that much of her. She's supposed to be this sort of like superior body that's kind of on the top of the hierarchy of the Doom Raiders, and she definitely fits that role well, but she's so like royal and just doesn't do anything special. There's nothing we really see cool in her personality. I really like that one scene where she turns Wolfgang's like chicken leg into into gold, and then he breaks his tooth. I mean, that scene's funny. Kind of the only cool thing that she did in the entire story, though. Design wise, I think it looks pretty well. I mean, it's pretty basic. It's just a golden queen with sort of this like almost like Egyptian aesthetic, and then obviously she got her desert level, which is kind of cool. Her boss fight's really good, but we're not really talking about that. Overall, I think she isn't super memorable. She doesn't have too unique of a design or personality that would really make her any higher on this list, so she's gonna end up in the 4th place. I mean, 5th place, my bad, 5th place. Now, the top 4 are very difficult, so I know I might get hate for this, but 4th place is going to be Dr. Crankcase. Hear me out, all these guys are really close for me. It is really hard to do this. I hate disrespecting Dr. Crankcase like this, because he is like, as far as Skylanders villains go in general, he is like top 5% of like all of them. That should show you how good these last 4 Doom Raiders are, but as far as Doom Raiders go, he is unfortunately going to have to be right in the middle of the pack, which sucks because he's awesome. I love seeing his personality. He's got very charming personality. He's just kind of, you know, goofy scientist who's very smart and also pretty witty and funny. He is cool enough where he has like somewhat of an intimidating design. Seeing him with his 2 blasters in the intro cutscene is pretty cool, and he looks pretty cool and kind of menacing to go up against, and it is intimidating once you finally get to battle him. But overall, I think the other ones just do slightly better, at least for me, and I'm gonna have to put Dr. Crankcase at the 4th place spot, which is kind of sad for him considering how awesome he is, but he just doesn't do as much as these last 3 for me personally. But really like his design. I think the scientist with the wooden legs, having like a bunch of them crawling around like a spider with his blasters, is really cool, and obviously his design is very charming, and his personality is also really nice. He's really funny. I love listening to this guy, and he's one of the best parts of Trap Team for sure. Now in 3rd place, I do have Chef Pepperjack, mainly because I love his design and his personality. The way he talks to other Doom Raiders is really cool. Like, I feel like he's just like a cool, chill dude. At the same time, he's able to integrate a bunch of cooking puns that actually land for the most part. I actually really like them. And when you're about to fight him in his boss fight, he starts talking to you and he drops some pretty funny lines. I like listening to Chef Pepperjack overall, and I think his design is really cool. I mean, you got a pepper who's like on fire. It's a great way of integrating sort of the life and fire element into one, even though he's just fire element, but he's a plant, so it's kind of cool to see Chef Pepperjack in action. I actually really like this character. I feel like he was done so dirty when they did not put him in Imaginary. They definitely should have, and he has a cool weapon and he has cool moves. I mean, we're not taking that into account, but as far as design goes, I think his design of his weapon and his arms is really cool, and I really like the shaping of his body. I think is really funny to look at, and he just fits in with the other Doom Raiders. Like, he's a pretty chill guy, and he's just kind of there with the rest of the pack, but he does it in a cool way where it's like, it's nice. I like it. Not to mention he has his own Zeppelin, which I think is also really dang cool. Now in 2nd place, this one is, I might get a lot of hate for this too, but it's going to be Chompy Mage. Chompy Mage is in 2nd place. Chompy Mage is a little bit more difficult to rank just because he isn't in nearly as many of the Doom Raider cutscenes as some of the other ones, as we capture him pretty early in the game, and he's not in the intro cutscene either. But for the most part, Chompy Mage does do really good in the cutscenes that he is in. And obviously we get to see him in Giants too. I'm not really taking into account much of what he did in Giants because we didn't really see him that much other than his one boss fight. But in Trap Team, we actually get a pretty good glimpse of this guy, especially in his level. I mean, if you are not Chompy, I don't like you. All that stuff is great. I like it. He's so iconic, and his design is one of the best. I think having the Chompy staff as well as the Chompy puppet really complements his almost Santa Claus looking design. I really like this guy. Chompy Mage, obviously, he's an absolute classic. If like one Doom Raider to represent them all, I don't know if Chompy Mage would be the best one because he's definitely more of his own villain compared to all the other ones on the Doom Raiders, but he's still great nonetheless. Everyone loves this guy, and he's awesome to listen to. Very charming overall. How could you not like Chompy Mage? Now, number 1, I'm not afraid to say it. I know a lot of you guys are going to agree with me on this one. It is Wolfgang. Wolfgang is like the epitome of cool. This guy is an undead werewolf with these massive bone spikes coming out of his back, and he plays the guitar. It is awesome. Wolfgang is just awesome, dude. Like, looking at this guy in every cutscene, he's super cool. And when he's not cool, he's goofy. And that's good with me. That's like the 2 things you want. It's like combining the best parts of Golden Queen, Chompy Mage, and Dr. Crankcase all into one, and you get Wolfgang. This guy is so cool. Even that intro cutscene right before you fight him, where he's talking about pizza, and then he's like, let's just fight. He just looks so sick. The way he swings around his guitar in the intro cutscene to Trap Team, this guy looks absolutely awesome. And he's like the only one who will ever stand up to Golden Queen when she's doing her own thing. He kind of wants to do his own thing. He went into the future of Skylands and he took over all of it, because he was like, screw the Doom Raiders, if she's gonna treat me like this, I'll just go do my own thing. Wolfgang was really awesome. Everyone likes playing with this guy, and he definitely has the coolest design of any villain in Skylanders, period. I think this guy's design is absolutely awesome, and I think for the most part everyone's gonna agree with me on that, which is why Wolfgang gets the first place spot. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If there are any other rankings you guys would like to see me make, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd be very interested to see what sort of suggestions you guys got. And if you guys have any differing opinions about this video, please let me know what those are in the comments down below too. I'd be pretty interested to see. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. So long, everyone.